activated using Powtoon.
Okay, thanks for watching another episode of Ask Jason. My name is Jason Troy Medium. I actually do a lot of development classes. A lot of people come to me for soul coaching, life coaching. Mostly a lot of them are awakened light workers, starseeds, women, males, people that are just at the beginning of their stage of their awakening. So I try and condense or to I guess there's a lot of teachings out there. So when you hit the seeker mode, what tends to happen is that we wake up on the level of mind, and it starts to place us in different areas where it actually can be distracting, and it can actually be very confusing. So when I started to awaken, I was doing the same thing that everybody else was doing. I was trying to find these teachers and gurus and so on, and listening to CDs and watching a lot of stuff on YouTube. And so I was getting distracted and so on. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to being very simplistic. And what I'm going to do here today is just a little bit of stuff that I do in my classes and so on. And I do a lot of this stuff over the internet as well. So if you're interested in a session, I do have connectivity on how to do that through the internet. But a lot of times it's just basically making it more simple for you to understand it instead of trying to understand it. So the way I like to approach this is that basically when you're looking at where are we? There's three questions you got to ask yourself. One is, who are you? Now, I'm not talking about this character Jason that I'm playing, but the real you, the one that came into the incarnation. And the second question is, where are you? What is this place? How did you get here? And what really happens? This is the third question. What really happens when you exit? So. And the time between, from now until then, because we're all exiting, and nobody wants to talk about that, right? Nobody wants to talk about dying and so on. But when you're a psychic or a medium, that's all that's what your work's about, is the people that are passed on, and they're transmitting messages to the loved ones that are here and so on. So what I want to do here today is basically, I just want to show here is that we technically have here is a positive frequency and a negative frequency. Okay, so there's a positive pole and a negative pole. And these two frequencies, what they're doing is they're actually pushing and pulling constantly. So we have two hemispheres in our brain. We have the left side and the right side. The right side is the intuitive abilities, and the left side is the analytical stuff. So I'm not advocating to one over the other. What you have to do is you have to bring it into balance. So into balance would be in the center of these two poles. So a lot of esoteric teachings or different religious teachings, you'll see a lot of these religious characters will actually be in the center of this gap, or the eye, right, or the eye of the needle. They will actually be sitting with their hands open. You can see a lot of these things in churches and so on. Now, when they're in that gap, they're basically, this is also another Zen teaching, which is basically moving into the middle way, right? So you're not on one side or the other. You're able to be still, right? This is the still point. This is 0 point, right? 0. So we have a 0 and a 1. So a 0 and a 1. Okay, so we also have the male energy. Okay, so we've got, if we were to say the pole is the male energy, and the circle or the hole is the female energy, right? So both of these frequencies, we have, even as a male, I have a female aspect to myself, and then you can see a lot of that with the esoteric teachings, with the chakra points and so on, the meridian centers and that. So there is a male and female frequency to us. Now, when we're going through this process of ascension, or this process of elevating our frequency, we have to catch these frequencies in the act, because you do have an energetic body. Okay, so we have these energetic centers. Okay, so we've got the 7 that we already know about. Okay, and then there's a whole other set, which is the higher aspects. Now that whole other higher aspect of you is trying to come down and overlay over the lower ones, or actually going to push these lower ones out. So it's almost like the higher self is starting to come down into the lower self. So we have the first base chakra, and a lot of times this chakra is out of balance. So sometimes it's over here, sometimes it's over here. So a lot of us, 90%, I say about 90% of the planet is operating on this lower chakra. This first base chakra is the one that's creating all this chaos or havoc. So if you're able to control or to balance that chakra, you're going to see a lot more momentum within your progress, or even within your if you're a new beginner at metaphysics, or a new beginner within trying to develop your intuitive abilities. The best way to do that is to start to clear these portals, these gates. Okay, so this is the gates. So the body itself, okay, so the body does have this protective energy around it, which is the aura. Okay, and then within the aura we have these energetic centers, and a lot of times they're not in a perfect row. So if you're an energy healer and worker, sometimes they come over here to the side. So this is just for representation purposes. So when we're looking at ascending, it's actually, I think there's a lot of misconception. I believe it's a descent. It's the higher frequency, which is the master frequency, which is descending within the lower frequency. So if you're really awake, a lot of times that's when the higher chakras will start to ping or put out a signal. So the frequency is starting to descend, and it mostly is trying to enter into the heart. So the heart energy is starting to vibrate, and that's why a lot of people have these heart palpitations and so on. So the heart energy is starting to expand, right? And the head energy, right? So the positive side, or the negative, positive side, which are going back and forth. So the right brain, okay, which is more in line with the heart, and the left brain is more in line with the mind. So the heart energy is now starting to overlap. So where you really want to be is to try and stay within the gap. And how you do that is you basically start to catch yourself in the act, because a lot of this is basically just thought forms. These are just thoughts that are in here. So there's one thought here, one thought here. So there's all these little thought forms. Okay, and these thought patterns, which are playing havoc, a lot of times they get stuck in the aura. So let's just say you had a trauma back when you were a kid, there was an abuse type of a scenario, and you suppressed it. You didn't tell anybody about it, you just let it stay there, and then you were in your teen years. But what happened is basically that trauma is still stuck in the aura. So the energetic frequency, I just call it a program, the energetic program is still there. So you can be in a supermarket, or you can be in a public place, and then your aura starts to mesh with another person that has a very similar program that happened to them when they were a kid. So I call it a projection and a reflection. So basically down here, this actual projection and reflection, and then your aura blended with that person, and then now you're having a bad day, you're just feeling off, you're just not feeling yourself, because it's like shaking a pop bottle. The energy is trying to come out and release from your system, and the only way that you can do that is to identify it. You're not broken, you don't need to be fixed, you just need to see where the programs are, and some of them are stuck in your chakras and so on, so within the chakra wheels. So depending on how far out within the aura is how much work you have to do on that. So this is just a little bit of an example of working with energy, working with your energy body, and understanding what's actually taking place here with the Ascension process. Now, I'm going to do a couple more of these videos and get into a little bit more in depth within the clearing of these energy centers. Some suggestions on that. You can research this online, people within your area. Cord cutting is a very good energetic release or layer to get through these programs and so on. But I'm going to open up with another episode within another couple of weeks, and I thank you again for joining me with the episode of Ask Jason. Thanks for your time.
created using Powtoon.